Yeah, I should, I do get a little bit emotional, get angry and all that night. But they wind me up.
And I'm seeing Arsenal fans all around me just walking out the stadium. I'm like, what? Really?
When I hear anyone disrespect the FA Cup like it's a nonsense trophy, when I heard that in that watch-along, it sent me into orbit.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Invincibles. Listen, we're a little bit happier today because Arsenal won on Tuesday against Sporting, not Porto, Sporting, right? And of course, but we're going to talk about it. We obviously lost to Southampton on the Saturday and Chris is not here. We've got Laurie with us today. Like, we've got the best Lar with us today.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And also Marty. We'll talk about Marty in a second. But Chris can't be here today, because he did want us to lose to Southampton. So we've got rid of him for he's on a ban, right? He's on a ban, okay? Not to be seen for a week. Marty, now, hello.
How are you, mate?
Nice to see you, you wasn't on the watch-along.
I wasn't, mate, no.
What, apparently like a one-game suspension, is it? What I'm hearing?
Something like that. Got a yellow card. No, I got a red card, mate, yeah.
Well, it's good to have you back,
Thanks, mate, it's nice to be back.
Well, between me and you, I was in the disciplinary hearing.
Yeah, okay.
And they said, we better bring him back because we've got to do the competition today.
Is that it?
So we've got the competition. We're going to reveal the winner later on who's going to be going with you to Bournemouth, if you're about.
One would like to think so, mate.
Yeah, we've got Ty in the building, in the back there, yeah.
I don't get binned off before the game, do you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? So,
that's what you can say about
I must say, though, it's nice to see you smiling because the last time I saw you on camera, you looked like you was about to stick it on Cecil.
Oh, no, poor old Cecil.
Was he?
He was on it, man.
I'm not having it, Cecil.
Yeah,
That's it.
I was a bit worried for Cecil.
He's done it to me again.
I'm going to address that.
He's done it again.
I honestly thought you were going to stick one on him.
Well, I would never do that. I'll never do that. I love Cecil.
You should have.
But I'm going to address a couple of things on that. Yeah, I should. I do get a little bit emotional, get angry and all that. But they wind me up. I'm standing there talking to some fella and they've started to, let's wind him up. They've already started it, what I mean? So, there's a little fit going on there. And I'm not going to lie. We go back to the Southampton game, that hurt. Not just going out of the cup, because I get that. That can happen. It happened the week before.
They put us out 2021.
Yes, they did. Yeah. And we obviously lost the League Cup final. So it can happen in one-offs. It was the way we lost. That was the more hurt thing. You know what I mean? I see Southampton players want it more than us. You know what I mean? And they had a big game. In the week against Wrexham, winning 1-5-1. Congratulations to them. They're chasing for the promotion and all that. I get it, but I just didn't like what happened. And do you know what winds me up a little bit, or wound me up a little bit more about that on the day, was there's a lot of Arsenal fans just saying, "No, it don't matter. It don't matter about the FA Cup. We've got a bigger game on Tuesday."
Yep.
And I think that, I don't like that sort of thing. There was a chance to win, progress into the quarter final. I will say this: you look back on it. If David Raya plays probably in that game, I don't know if we win that game or not. But it makes a difference. It sends out wrong messages. I've heard all of this sort of stuff. But I'm a big fan of the FA Cup, and and if you're going to do what you did, you're not bothered about it, well, play the kids on the third round. And
can I ask you a question though, because when teams lose, especially when they lose to teams that they're expected to win, the usual refrain is, they didn't try enough, they didn't want it, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm not saying I weren't there, you were, but could you tell me why you felt, what did you see from the players that made you feel that they weren't putting it in, they didn't want it? Or Southampton wanted it more than us?
Every first ball they won, every second ball they won, they seemed to if it was a 50-50, they won it.
Right.
I see Kai Havertz, who, by the way, I'm a big fan of Kai Havertz, as you know. Like, you know, I know you're not like. I mean, you've got an apology to make. Apparently, like, we're going on about it. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, but I just see him strolling around. I tell you what. Now, Ty, I've known Ty for good 10 years now. Like
too long.
Too long. Yeah, you could say too long. The first time he's given me a comment today, and I thought, wow. The guy has got a bit of intelligence. You know what I mean?
It's taken you 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. But
point.
he come out with something today when he turned around and said, if that was a game where Arsenal had one trophy to win, or it was a cup final when we were going for it, Gabriel would have stayed on the pitch. And it's such a poignant assessment. When I look back at it, yeah, he would have done. But what does that tell you if you're leaving your best players at home to, you know, not even travel, then one of your best defenders gets a little knock, oh, don't play for it, come off. It just sends out wrong messages, and you can see why Arsenal lost that game.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I didn't see the game live. I was at a wedding and I was getting reports on my phone, and there were some people there at the wedding who was updating me and winding me up. And yeah, by all accounts, it was an awful performance. But what I would say is, and listen, I'm with you. I love the FA Cup. I'm similar. In fact, I'm older than you. But growing up as a kid, the FA Cup was the one.
And all, yeah.
I used to get up early in the mornings and follow the coverage right the way through. So I've always been a big fan of the FA Cup. And Arsenal in the FA Cup over the years have been brilliant. We're the record holders. And it's Mikel Arteta's only trophy as of now. So I was very disappointed. However, I did kind of look at it a little bit lightly. And listen, you know, I thought to myself, well, okay, we're out. The Carabao Cup was a disaster. I was at that game. We were terrible. We're out the FA Cup. So all you can do now is look forward. And I think to myself, if we win the league, which it looks like we very well might do, and even get to semi-finals, final of the Champions League, who knows, you may even win it, right? If you go back to the start of the season, some said, you're going to win the league, you're going to get deep into the Champions League, I'd have taken their hand off for that.
And Laurie, I could not agree with you more.
I'd have bit their hand off for that.
But there's a possibility that might not happen at this moment in time. We got to, you know, and I just, for me, I don't know how you feel about this, Mike. We haven't. There was a time when we was winning titles, and you know, and then we go out the FA Cup. Yeah, well, that's all right, like. But we haven't won nothing for 6 years. You know what I mean? Like, and all of a sudden we're going, well, that's all right. We're thrown that way. And I'll go back to a day that I was with you. And do you remember it? West Ham away when we just got knocked out of the...
Gosh,
we come out of that ground and I said to you, I'm not accepting this no more. Yeah. And you agreed with me. You said, no, you know what I mean? We said, we go out of this because we got, you know... But here, we're still doing it, like, you know what I mean? And I think at the end of the day, yeah, we could go on and win the league and then it's all forgotten. But what happens if we don't?
Exactly.
That's my problem.
And on that as well, I was at the Carabao Cup final and I saw stuff in that game that disgusted me. So, as we all know, we played terribly. We were never going to win that game. City were by far the better team. But I'll tell you what pissed me off with that game. 70 minutes in, right? And I'm seeing Arsenal fans all around me just walking out the stadium. I'm like, what? Really? There's 20 minutes to go. Okay, we're 2-0 down, we're not playing well, but you never know in football. Like, you guys are walking out after the season that we've had. That is not a good look, bro. And then you've got the City fans who are in close proximity. Bye, cheerio. And I just thought it was embarrassing, bro. And I'm like, some of you man as well that are walking out of this stadium, you'll be the first ones to get on AFTV back. Oh, you fans, you're doing this and that, you're talking, you're embarrassing the club. Look at you, man. And I'm like, there were people, Arsenal fans that I know would have paid hundreds of pounds to get a ticket for that game. They've got to the final. Support the team, man. I mean, you can express your frustration and your outrage with the performance afterwards if you want, but to be walking out after 70 minutes.
West Ham fans, they learned that on...
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I'm glad they never got back in by it.
Yeah. The one thing I will say...
Watching it off a phone on FaceTime.
I will say before we come in, Martin, and one thing I will say, I look back at the whole of the season, so far up till now, there's 2 games where I've done me nut. Wolves and that game there, Southampton. You think about it, we've played over 50 games now. and I imagine that maybe Arteta's done his nut probably after the game against Wolves and probably after that game as well. Like, it ain't bad that, you know, we're into April now, and there's been 2 performances. I know we've lost in other games and whatever, but there's 2 performances where I felt that the team and the players and manager have let me down.
But the Wolves game, I think there is some caveat to that. Number one, the conditions are atrocious. Now, I know same for both teams. I get that. But to me, the conditions were a leveler, 100%. It was absolutely
And it was
awful.
a swirling wind on
It was, swirling wind, pouring with rain, away from home.
Wasn't it?
And we didn't lose that game, by the way.
No, but it felt like a loss.
We did. But hear this. The week after that, Villa rocked up. Almost like a local derby.
Yeah, and they
West
lost.
Midland. They lost. And since then...
And then Liverpool.
They beat Liverpool. So, in hindsight, in retrospect, that result against Wolves wasn't as bad as we thought at the time.
But it's just, but what the point I'm trying to make is that of all the games we've played, we've probably been let down twice this season. You know what I mean? So,
And over the course of a long season,
over a long course of season, that ain't bad.
Injuries, players in and out of form, you are going to get those, what I call rogue results.
That ain't bad. What's your feelings on Saturday?
Well, so
You've got your band for the next game, right? You know what I mean?
and for, look, when it comes to me and watching football, very, very rarely do you see me lose my mind or have a meltdown. I'm pretty reserved and controlled. What you were saying, when I hear anyone disrespect the FA Cup like it's a nonsense trophy, when I heard that in that watch along, it sent me into orbit. I cannot comprehend anyone saying, no, it's a small trophy. Because like exactly what you said, when I was a kid, FA Cup final day was one of the biggest days of the season. You get up, you go outside, you go in the street and you kick foot, you play football and, you put it on TV loud and you watch it. Back in the day when TVs were, on the old black and white and all that. And, hearing that and with the performance, also my missus and all her family, she's from Southampton, all her family, I was getting pelters from, and it always happens with Southampton. I remember I took her to the Southampton Arsenal when we drew 3-3, thinking, come to Arsenal, and we were playing good football, and that was the game that done our season. And I was like, thinking, come and watch a game of football and watch Arsenal absolutely landslide, wipe the floor with Saints, and they were one of the worst teams in the Premier League. And what happened? We were 2-0 down after 15 minutes, and I was sat there like an absolute wally. And then it happens again. It happens all the time with Southampton, and then I get hammered from all of her family. But in that and the watch along, and it was just like after 5 minutes, I knew the football that we were playing was just dire. It was terrible. It was like every pass was 6 inches away from the foot. It was slow. And I get, the weather is a leveller in these games, but Saints made us look like a championship side. They wanted it. They had, desire. They had want. They had bite. I rewatched the game and thought, maybe I saw it wrong, and I didn't. And I rewatched the watch long. And I then thought, I'm going to watch the highlights just to see if it takes a stick. The highlights were even worse because all it was Southampton pummeling us. And I was just like, what? And it was just it was the worst game of football I've watched all season. And it just got my back up. I hated it. And it was poor. It was disappointing.
Out of 2 cups in a week, but if we go on to win the league and go deep into the Champions League, you would take that.
No, of course, 100%, and I get that. What it is after that Carabao Cup performance, what I saw in the second half against City, I saw throughout the entire game, but worse against Southampton, who are no disrespect to them. I know they're sixth and they've just ironed Wrexham out, on Tuesday, 5-1. And, they're a good side. They're unbeaten in 15 at the time, 14. I get all that. But they're a championship side. And they might go into the Premier League and then there'll be and they've just come down from the I get that. This is a team that should be getting done. Like, even with your B team, or then people say, it should be your B team, key players missing. But everyone's going, they're calling for the likes of Norgard to start and, Ben White and, all of these players to start, Kepa and all this. Well, when you start, take your opportunity. Don't play like that. Don't turn up like that. It's not acceptable. I want to see leave it. If you lose the game and you've left it all out on the pitch, no problems. I ain't got a problem. Do you know what? You leave it all and you come off the pitch and you're kind of. Then people say, risking an injury for Southampton? I understand all that. What I'm saying is, it's about. It was poor. They're professional footballers, and I expect more. And especially with the players that we've got, the pool of players to choose from. They should have played they got their opportunity and they didn't take it. And I get it. There's sometimes that, you know, you bring your Declan Rices back in, your Saliba and Gabriels, and what we saw, not to jump into it too quickly. Sporting Lisbon game, tight game. Yeah, I'm not saying with these players in the side, you just go and walk these teams. You don't, right? You leave it long and it takes, it goes to 90 minutes and then bang, you snatch it. And that's how football goes. But at least in that game, I saw fight and want and desire, and all the other games. That against Southampton was poor.
The other thing that was, which you have to bring into it, which is, right, he changed the side up. He actually brought on Gyökeres, Calafiori.
And Gyökeres done the business.
And we gets to 1-1 and then we still lose it from there. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things in that game that I look and go, right, forget about changing. You know what I mean? That shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity missed.
Just to quickly on that, they bring on Havertz, goes down to the byline. I was actually, when he had the ball, I thought, right, go and shoot, but he didn't. Fantastic for him. Takes it to the byline, cuts it back in. Gyökeres, bang, back of the net. That's what you want. The flash moments like that. That's what we're capable of. It was like when we played Bayern Munich, right, at the Emirates. We played them and bang, see how they scored that goal? They picked up the ball and bang, within literally 10 seconds the ball's in the back of our net. And you're like, and that's with our full strength. So you're like, what? That's how good, that's what we should be able to do to teams like Southampton.
Yeah, and most of the time we do, Marty. Like,
yeah, we do.
And so it didn't happen on that game. Like. No. But what I look at that, and I just felt that, when it went 1-1, as bad as we were playing, weren't great, and you think, right, we're going to go on and win the game now. And we didn't, like, you know what I mean? And of course then, everybody's going, right, we've got the Champions League and everything like that. But there's a lot of pressure going in on Tuesday's game, I have to say.
And I think what made that result worse as well was immediately following going out in such poor fashion.
Yeah, you've got to come straight to it. But they've done well. I thought it was a very, very good, sure performance.
Well, against Sporting?
Against Sporting. But I look at it, Ben White, I felt come back and had a very, very good game. Kai Havertz come on, done okay. Like, I'm not saying brilliant, but it was certainly better than what he did against Southampton. Madueke, I thought done well. You know what I mean? Like done okay. Like Havertz come on, of course, got the goal. I thought Martinelli but these guys had done nothing on the Saturday. Absolutely nothing.
Well, I don't know. I disagree. I think football for me is about moments. Very much so, and what I see with this Arsenal team, I've said it earlier on in the season, is we can play a number of different ways, but one of our key ways of playing is sounding teams out, boxing them into sort of submission. I'll be honest, that Sporting game, because I watched it at home. Actually, about 5 minutes I fell asleep because it was that boring. We kind of bore teams into submission and then bang, we hit them. Now, when you've got key players, and I said this months ago about David Raya, and people laughed at me for it, and I said, David Raya right here, right now, is the best goalkeeper in the world. And people going, oh yeah, it's Alisson. Well, Alisson's never on, he's always injured. He's always injured, so I need someone that's available. Raya's always available. Touch wood, he's very rarely injured. The likes of Donnarumma, I see him make mistakes. What you're getting with David Raya, and he will change games. You see it, games and leagues and titles are won with defensive, matches are won with attacks. This guy pulls out saves at key moments. He looks comfortable, he's assured, his distribution's phenomenal, his agility, his handling, everything about him as a modern day goalkeeper is phenomenal. He's that good. You know what? And when I watched him against Sporting, he plays like, you might as well have Martin Zubimendi in goal. The way he picks up the ball and the way he moves it around the pitch, he's like a CDM. Like it's unbelievable. And
he was a futsal player early in his days.
There you go.
You can see his ability on the ball is very
his
good.
Confidence, and the difference when I watch him for Spain and when I watch him for Arsenal, I'll be honest, it is not two different goalkeepers, but at Arsenal he fits like a glove. He knows he is the number one man, and that game the other night, just confidence, and that save, that small little fingertip, you don't get that. That hits the bar and goes in.
It's a game changer because at that moment in time, like going over there, there was a massive atmosphere, unbelievable atmosphere there. I don't know if you noticed that there was a lot of empty seats.
Yeah.
Right, you're thinking it ain't for that. Well, what happens is those fans are in those seats, but they all go to the middle to make even more of a noise.
Yeah.
So if they go 1-0 up after 10 minutes, with that atmosphere and all that, and at the end of the day, I know what you're saying about being a boring. That's a team that's unbeaten in 23 games away, home and away, 17 home games without defeat. I'm speaking to a few of the sporting fans and all that. None of them thought that they were going to lose that game. They thought that the best, obviously, scenarios they was going to win, but they thought like it might be a draw. And I know you go on about it weren't great to watch and all that, but it's a European quarter-final tie. Is it really on Arsenal to go out there?
You know what? That is an excellent point you made, and I made the same point on the watch-along. The onus was on them.
Yes, exactly.
So we go to the game. Listen, don't get it twisted. It wasn't a great game to watch if you're a neutral. I get it. Did we play exhilarating football? No, we didn't. But I could understand the tactics because you don't want to lose. Yeah. First and foremost, two-legged tie. Quarter-final of the Champions League. Don't lose the game. You do not want to lose the game. So I said before, and I took a little bit of stick for it, I said, I'll take a draw today.
Yep.
Yeah, I said that.
I said I'll take a draw because I know that bringing them back to the Emirates, there's a very good chance that we'll beat them and go through. So to get a 1-0 out there, I thought that was an excellent result. Yes, the performance wasn't great. Yes, it wasn't great football to watch, especially when you compare it to what I saw PSG do to Liverpool and what I saw Bayern do to Real. We're not at that level. But if it gets you through, that's what you want.
And do you know what? And I've said this a couple of times, and they're like, and I was like, look, I'll be honest, I'll take a draw. And people are like, what? This is a two-legged tie.
Exactly.
This game ain't won in the first leg. What you do need to know, about this Sporting Lisbon side, they were 3-0 down to Bodo Glimt in the last round. And then they went and put 5 past them in one game.
And I watched that game, they were really good.
And they were unbelievable. Just because we're 1-0 up, it doesn't mean the tie's done. We need to actually go and do the business. Now, whether that's shutting them out or whether that's going and nicking a goal and shutting shop or whatever, we need to just get the result done. And it's
we're in pole position. We didn't concede a goal. And crucially as well, their best player, the guy that's been scoring all the goals for them, Suarez, he picked up the booking, so he'll miss the next leg. So you're right, it's not over, but we are in pole position. There's no doubt about it.
Also, do you know what, with that game as well, and this is, again, but this is the levels to this when you're talking about Champions League quarterfinals, right? No disrespect to Kepa, but if Kepa's in goal, we lose that game 2-0. Maybe, or 2-1. No, shut up, because I don't. He doesn't get those. No. I'm being honest with you. I'm being honest
because then, but by extension, you're saying that Raya has never made a mistake. Then
I'm not. I'm not saying that. But what the 2 saves that he made, which were key in that match at key moments, was that one obviously in the first half and the one in the second half where he gets down. He's got a player blocking him. Yeah. He's got a player blocking his line of sight, and he gets down and one-handedly puts it around the post.
I get what you're saying here and all that. Ray has made a mistake, cost us a game against Sunderland. It happens, and what he does give you is the assurance that I felt the back 4 looked a lot more assured because he said there is. I'll tell you what, someone said it on over in Lisbon. What Raya gives you is presence. Yeah. They're like presence of a goalkeeper. David Seaman had it, didn't he? Like, 100%. You know what I mean? Doesn't always have to make a save.
Layman had it.
Layman had it. That defence looks very, very shaky against Southampton. It's the same back 4 against Man City in the Cup. Same back 4 again against Sporting, and it looks so much more assured.
No, you're 100% right. What I would say though, I did feel that a lot of the fans were scapegoating Kepa for the final.
Sorry,
Kepa.
What for the Carabao Cup final?
Yeah, I think it was
scapegoat. Yeah,
and I'll tell you why. Because don't get me wrong, that was an horrendous mistake that you shouldn't have made. But name me one Arsenal player that day that played well, before or after that mistake.
Do you know what it is, right?
So you can't say it was all on Kepa.
Look, as I say, I do actually really like Kepa as a goalkeeper.
You play your best team now, is what you're going to say. You
play your best. I do actually listen. It sounds like I think he is a very good goalkeeper, but he is just nowhere near the levels of David Raya. If you've got, there is also with a goalkeeper.
Was you calling for him to play beforehand?
Mate,
yeah, he was. Yeah,
I've been
play your best team.
I've been saying for the last 2 months.
I said in the Carabao Cup final to play Kepa, but I said in the FA Cup to play Raya.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a different competition. It's a bigger competition in my opinion.
So when's this guy going to play then?
No, right. So hear me out. Right, hear me out. Okay. No. Hear me out. So I said in the final you play Raya. It's the final. You play him. It's as simple as that. Then against the Southampton game, okay, you play Kepa because he's the cup cup keeper, right? So, and then Lee was like, oh, we played best. Against Southampton, Kepa should be able to play and there shouldn't be that problem. But the thing with Raya is the way that we play with Raya, it's like I said, it's like having a CDM as a goalkeeper because the way he moves the ball around, he's so fluid. And the assurance he gives you. Let's go back to this, right? So when I remember watching David Seaman, you remember watching, when I watched Arsenal with David Seaman in goal, I just watched us thinking, do you know what? If we get into trouble here, that guy's going to get us out of trouble. I just felt confident. There was an assurance. There was a security of just having him in goal. And I get that with David Raya.
I understand that. Look, listen, we've all played football. If you play with a good goalkeeper, it gives you the confidence. Like, I know I keep bringing up our vets team, but we know we've got the best goalkeeper in the league.
There you go.
Right. So even if it comes to a penalty shootout, you think, right, all of a sudden we're favourites now because of him in goal.
Yeah, but so to be fair to Kepa, he kept us in the competition against Crystal Palace when he went to penalties.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, if Raya was in goal, then...
Well, listen, Kepa did nothing...
You know what I mean?
Kepa done nothing wrong against Chelsea in the semi-final. We win that 1-0.
In fact, he made a couple of good saves in that game
but at the end of the day, he made a mistake in the final. And for me, that should have cost him his play. But listen, it's done.
It's done and dusted.
It's done.
And that's it.
We look so much better going forward. And it leads me great into the segment against Bournemouth. We're going to go into the Bournemouth competition just after I say this.
Yeah,
as Marty says, you play your best team. Like, you know what I mean?
No, I hear that.
I get that, right? So we're going to play Max Dowman then on.
Right, so here's my thing on Dowman.
Because you just both, you play your best team. Like Joe's with me. Joe's Dowman in. There you Joe. Dowman in. And listen, Ty's Dowman in as well. Ty's saying start Dowman. Right, you two have gone against it.
Go on. No, hang on. I haven't given my answer yet, have I, Lisa? Go on.
We spoke about this off camera, and you and one or two other guys in the studio were saying, and listen, I get that. The kid's outstanding, brilliant. But here's the slight issue I have with starting him in these games. I think, number one, I think it's unfair to level that pressure on a 16-year-old because I think it's too much physically and mentally to put all that pressure. Let the other guys, let those guys in the team who are far more experienced, earning far more money, played a lot more football, let them stand up. It's time for them to stand up. Now, with Dowman, I've got absolutely no problem with him playing. I'm more than happy for him to come on and don't leave it too late, as Mikel can do sometimes. But to start him, I just think it makes you look like you're relying on a 16-year-old, and I just don't think that's the right way to go.
Right. Okay, cool. Did we play our best team against Sporting Lisbon on Tuesday night?
Don't know.
Sorry.
What do you mean, don't know?
Sorry.
No.
Okay, were you happy with the side? Were you both happy with the side?
I'll tell you before, this is my motto. I think Bournemouth, right, I'm going to say this now, is 100 times bigger game than what we played on Tuesday night, right? I didn't want Dowman playing on Tuesday night because he played 90 minutes on Saturday. I didn't want him playing 90 minutes on the midweek, then to play 90 minutes. So for me, he's fresh now, and I'm playing my best team available, which is fit, on Saturday. And I don't care if he's 16 or not, he's been the best player over the last 3 or 4 games that I've seen at Arsenal. I don't care what anybody says. You can bring your David Rayas into that as well, like, you know what I mean?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Judges.
Okay.
It's very kind of you. Is it right if Raya plays? Do you want Raya to play?
I do want Raya to play, like, you know what I mean? I want him to play every single game now to the end of the season because I think that, he proved everything on Tuesday for me, like, you know. But I do think at this moment, on current form, there's no one better than Dowman.
Yeah, look.
You have a look, his 2 starts, Mansfield and Southampton, man of the match. People go, it's only against Mansfield and it's only against Southampton. I ain't seen no other player play like that. But
I can give you one. I can give you one. Up until he got injured, Eze's been outstanding.
Yeah. Well, you go back to the game against Mansfield, like, Eze, it was a wonder goal, wasn't it? Otherwise, we might not have won that game. If you go back to that game. So, Eze's been in good form, but he's injured at the moment, like, you know.
Back in training.
But,
he might be available.
For me, like, I'll tell you where I'm there's a big call for we'll talk about in a sec, Odegaard or Eze. So you're going to go Eze to play instead of Odegaard.
Oh, it's not even it's a no-brainer.
So it's a no-brainer. So okay, I'm happy with that.
If he's fit.
If he's fit.
Odegaard might be out.
Yeah, he could be out, like, you know what I mean? He's struggling with, but I think he'll be okay as well. But for me, I'm with you on that. If Eze's fit, go with Eze or Odegaard in that role there. Okay. But on the right-hand side is where I'm playing.
Okay.
Salmon.
So, right, my take on this is, yes, Bournemouth, massive game. We go and beat Bournemouth, right? We get 3 points, and then you've got Chelsea and Man City. That's a draw, which it could be. Then we're 11 points clear. That's going to be massive. And then all we've got to do is go to the empty had.
Oh, I saw.
And a draw. Get a draw. No, get a draw then. And it's another game ticked off. And it's basically done.
How about looking at it like this? Because I've actually done the research.
Well, hang on.
I've done the research.
Okay, go on.
So, as of filming, we've got 7 games left.
Go for it.
Including the Bournemouth game this week. 7 games. If we win 5 of those 7, irrespective of what City do, we will win the title. So
there you go.
If we lose to City and win the other 6 or 5, we're safe.
Yeah, no, I get that. So what I'm saying, even if we get a draw there, that's another game chalked off, and we're closer to it. The team that I would start with and why is I wouldn't start with Dalman. Do you see what he did?
So you're starting on the right hand side.
Saka obviously, if he's fit. If Saka's fit.
No. Who you start? Okay. Who you start?
Listen,
if I
say Saka and he's not fit,
it doesn't matter.
Saka then.
I'm not arguing.
Saka. I'm starting with Saka.
Right, that's fair enough.
I'm starting with Saka. And then after 60 minutes, if the game is not where it needs to be, you bring Dalman on.
Okay.
You change it up.
I'm with my guy Marty, man. Start Saka.
I don't think I've got an argument. No, listen, if you said Madueke in there, like, you know what I mean? If both of you have said Madueke, I'm not having it, like, and even Ty's with me on this one, like, you know what I mean? Madueke or Dalman starts.
The thing is, though, if Madueke it was Madueke, he tires them out, and then you bring on a 16-year-old Max Dalman, he will cause chaos against tired defenders after 60 minutes.
So what you're saying is at 60 minutes, then you're happy on 60 minutes.
Unless we're 3-0 up.
Whoa! You're bringing Dalman on now. Yeah. That means you're a 0-0 after 60 minutes against Bournemouth. You're going to be happy because I'll tell you what, I'm going to be throwing things at you if you are, like, you know what I mean?
What do you mean?
From now, I'll be throwing programs at you. Right,
you do throw programs at me.
60 minutes. I want us to be winning that game comfortably.
It can happen. We're not going to go and blow every team away 5-0.
But I don't want to be bringing on Max Dalman because we like that Everton. I cannot take another Everton game. I'll tell you that now.
That's what happened the other night.
But you know what?
That's different.
That's how you win games.
Listen, we did not have. We said that earlier on in the show. We did not have to win that. If we'd have drawn 0-0 at the end of the day, I wouldn't have been that.
Do you know what the next thing I'm going to say? We don't actually have to. It's not the end of the world if we don't win this.
Whoa.
It's not.
I've said this on the forever, and I'll say this again now. Because of their cup.
Yeah, I
their
agree.
Game now against Burnley has been moved forward. Right? So if we were to not beat Bournemouth, and we were not to beat City, we could go into that game against Newcastle on level points for them. Right? On the other scenarios, if we beat Bournemouth, we could be the minimum of 9 points.
There you go.
Maximum of
could be 12.
12, 4. You know, listen,
the bottom line is we need to be
16.
We need to go. 15. We need to beat Bournemouth because if we go into the game against Newcastle, they could have won their 2 games. They could have beaten Chelsea. They could have then beaten what's the name. It could be 6 points, and you don't want it to be 3-0. So I don't care what anybody says. Bournemouth is like that. I'm going to say it now.
Go on.
I think it's the biggest game at the Emirates since the Emirates era has been here. I'm telling you that now.
No, do you know what I do get? If we go 12 points clear and an early kick-off, that applies some serious pressure to Man City, and it could be at that point they've got the FA Cup where they're facing Southampton, which you'd probably like to think that they're going to beat them.
Who are chasing Champions League, by the way.
Tough game.
12 points behind. I wouldn't want to, but if that was us, I wouldn't fancy us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we have to nail that. Yeah. If we don't beat Bournemouth, that gives them all. Do you know when you play football, don't encourage the opposition. Don't give them encouragement, like by giving away a goal or giving away. We don't want to give City anything of encouragement.
Also,
No chink in the armour.
play this one out. We go and beat Bournemouth and they lose to Chelsea, and then we go to the Etihad and beat them there. That is the title done, and we go and win it there.
See, I don't think of it in them terms.
Imagine that. Oh, speaking of Arsenal versus Bournemouth, for the last 5 weeks, we have been running an absolutely awesome competition where on Saturday for the 12:30 kickoff, you get to come to the studio, watch the starting 11 show, and then come to the Emirates with myself, Mr. Judges, and Mr. Robbie Lyle. It will be a fantastic day, and then afterwards you can do a fan cam. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick 3 winners. Okay, so the first place prize is that what I just said, coming to the Emirates and watching the game, sat with me. It could be a fantastic day. The other 2 prizes, they are coming to watch the starting 11 show in the studio, and then you get to come and watch the watch along in the studio with the guys, meet all the guys, and then you get to do a fan cam as well afterwards. So we are offering that to places 2nd and 3rd. Now, if place 1st does not get in contact with info@aftv.co.uk by 9 o'clock BST, which is British summertime, on Friday the 10th of April. Glad I remembered the date because I didn't check it earlier. So if they don't get in contact, then that prize will go to place 2. And obviously if place 2 doesn't get in contact by, say, 12 o'clock British summertime, then that will get offered to place 3. Now, if everyone obviously gets in contact, alternatively as well, you can contact me at Marty Ovens1 on Instagram, MartyOvens1 on Instagram. Contact me as well, and I will make sure that it is forwarded. You will need to provide proof that it is you from your YouTube account that has done that, made that comment. So yeah, what we are going to do is randomly generate. We're going to do it. The first one we're going to generate is going to be position 3. Okay, they're going to be 3rd place. So guys, can we put the generator on the TV? Well, hey, here we go. So
Right.
the slot machine is here, and we're going to pick up random. They've entered. Ryan from production has very, very kindly entered. He's painstakingly entered all the comments into this generator machine, and he's going to press the pick random for position number 3, 3rd place in our competition. So 3rd place in our competition is Cat Brooker 8154. You have been selected to come down.
I know Kat.
Do you?
Yeah, I know Kat.
Is that Cat?
Yeah, she's
Okay.
the teacher, school teacher.
Fantastic.
Like, you know what I
So
mean?
Kat,
into the studio.
into the studio, come down. So for the 2nd place prize, we've got at AJ95283. You have got the 2nd place prize.
Oh, it's exciting, this is.
Yes, good, isn't it? See, so you'll be coming to the studio to watch the watch along, and for the 1st place prize to come to the Emirates with myself. Let's go.
Wow.
And we've got at the Lean Ad HD. So, 1st place prize at the Lean Ad HD. You, my friend, all 3 of you can come down, watch the starting 11 show at the studio, and then I will go off with the winner of the competition, place 1, 2 or 3, depending on who gets in contact. And the other 2 can watch it in the studio, and you'll be able
Spend
to
the
meet
day in the
Mr.
studio,
Laurie.
like, I mean, which is probably a better prize than going with you.
Might well be. Cheers, Ali. It's very nice, isn't it?
I
You get
can't
it all
help
from him
myself,
today.
guys. Sorry, like.
You can't, do you know what I mean?
Wow. Before we go then, just have the predictions.
2-0.
I've gone 2-0 as well.
I've gone 2-0. I think after the very good win away, I think the mood in the camp will be heightened. You saw the way the players were celebrating the other day. You had the manager run up and down the touchline. The vibe is back. Emirates will be packed on Saturday. Even though it's an early kick-off, I think the atmosphere will be
Pumping.
And I think the players will feed off that. They know what it means. And I can't see them slipping up. 2-0.
Brilliant.
I'm with you. I'm saying it's 2-0. Like, you know, we've come to the end of that exciting show. I'm still excited by that.
You're excited. That competition's really got you, isn't it? It's good.
That's good.
So I've done it. And do you know what? Thank you, everyone that entered the competition. And all the really nice comments. I did go through all of them. I did try and like all of them. If there's any of them I missed, then very sorry. But thank you very much for your participation. Thank you for your continued support to the Invincibles podcast and watching. It means a lot to us. Thank you.
It does.
Oh, thank you.
I always like coming
down to.
Well, no, like I said, we've got a lot of good. All right, so thank you. We've got a lot of good feedback from like going back into time and doing things like that, like, you know. So we're going to do a little bit more of that. We'll go back into sort of games and everything like that.
Back into the archives.
Back into the archives. But for us now, it's really like concentrating on the press. By the way, just before we're back next Thursday, so the game is obviously next Wednesday. Just quickly to round off, like, you know what I mean? You fancy us from here now to get
Yeah,
to
I
it?
do. I do caution. I mean, I've spoken to some fans online. A lot of fans are saying we're there already. We're not there already. I mean, I think it was Marty pointed it out. In the previous round, Sporting were pretty much over and out, 3-0 down, and they overcame the odds. They beat Bodo Glimt 5-3. I watched that game. They played really well.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We're in pole position. We should win, but it's not a given.
Okay, Marty, same.
Yeah, listen, like I said, I understand I love Champions League football. I watched, both the games last night. They were phenomenal. Liverpool game wasn't actually, but PSG were unbelievable. That's what you get. For me, the Champions League final is the best game of the season, the entire season. You've got two top teams going toe to toe. Sporting Lisbon have got to come and get a result. They're not going to sit back and defend. And there will be parts where they do that because we'll put them under pressure. But listen, this game, they're probably going to fancy their chances. And
they're not out of it.
Before we go,
especially if they score first.
Just
they're not out of it.
And we'll have a little game on this. Like when we'll go back to it next week. Like your 4 semi-finalists. Go with you first, Laurie.
Arsenal. I've got to go Atleti, but again, I'm not writing Barca off completely. Bayern, and of course, PSG, man. No stop.
I agree. I completely agree.
I've still got a sneaky feeling for Barcelona.
Do you?
Yeah, you know what? I can see
Barcelona.
why you're doing that because I watched that game last night.
I felt that if they get an early goal, Barcelona, I watched them against Spurs and I weren't impressed how they kept a lead of 3-0. I think if a better team than Spurs could have got back in that game.
I'll tell you what as well, when Barca went down to 10, I know they were at home and
they had chances.
They could easily have closed that.
I'm going to stick my neck out and book my flight for Barcelona.
But you know what it is with Atleti? They're defensively.
Yeah, for me,
and at home.
Simeone gets that, he shuts it up, mate.
Yeah, so keeping the same now.
He's just going to shut that up.
Who would you rather play, Atleti or Barca?
Atletico.
If I be honest, I prefer to play at Atletico. Because I think that Barcelona can destroy you, but they can also be destroyed.
Yep.
You know, if I'm thinking from football terms, Madrid, because we've beaten them once already. I still think that psychology has a thing. Not only did we beat them, we mullered them. If you remember that, when we scored in that game, Simeone went down there, just sat down, he knew it was gone. So for that reason there, but I do want to go and see the new Camp Nou stadium, like, you know what I mean? So from a selfish point of view, I'd like to
Lee
go
judges his fingers about his world tour.
I think it's better for us if we get
stadium.
Atleti, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it does.
I just think I think Simeone is too well versed in this. He shuts it up, and all the dark arts will come out from the get-go. There'll be just time wasting, messing around.
Another thing, they have 8 players on yellow cards, Madrid. 8. One of them suspended.
This is what I mean.
They've got there's going into that second leg. They'll have 7.
But what does that also tell you?
That they get booked a lot.
Yeah, why? Because of the things they do and the way they play.
Yeah. So listen, it could be that they get through against Barcelona, but lose 3 or 4 players. Who knows? So listen, we will find out next week. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to the competition winners being here and at the weekend. Hopefully, anyway, So don't forget to get in contact, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.